We are faced with decisions all of the time, sometimes big ones, sometimes small ones. Times when we're faced with large, life-changing decisions about marriage, job, a move. Those things are decisions that can change the direction of our lives. And as much stress and anxiety as those may cause us, in some ways, those are not the most difficult choices we make. It's not that hard to decide well, actually, to make a good choice when you have a lot of time to think about it and when the options are so clear. No, the more difficult decisions are the ones we have to make every day, several times a day, especially when you don't have a lot of time to think about it and the options are not as clear. I would suggest that the Word of God today puts before us the idea that those small everyday decisions say much more about who we are than the big life-changing ones. In a way, much more is at stake. That's what Jesus is talking about in the gospel today. Notice that Luke introduces this section of the gospel with a seemingly offhand comment that a great crowd was following Jesus. Notice also that after Jesus is done speaking about how difficult it is to be a follower of Jesus, he doesn't say the size of the crowd at that time. It was easy for people to follow Jesus and even to seek him out when he was doing miracles and telling interesting stories. When Jesus talked about the kingdom, a kingdom where all were welcome, where justice and love and peace would surround everyone gathered in God's presence, that was easy to follow Jesus. It became a lot harder when he started saying things like taking up your cross every day, leaving behind your family and your friends, renouncing all of your possessions. Each person in the great crowd that followed Jesus would have to decide for himself or herself whether or not to continue following Jesus. And Jesus makes it clear that that decision is not made just one time, but has to be made over and over again. It's not a one-time decision, but an every-time decision. Those everyday decisions are the ones that really shape us, the decisions that we make about which way we're going to go, what God we will follow, what kind of disciples we will be. The decision to take up the cross is made constantly and consistently. How are you going to act? How are you going to react? What are you going to do? What kind of person are you going to be? Those decisions often have to be made quickly, and they always have to be made constantly. When something is not going the way you want in your family, how will you react? With anger or with understanding? When someone doesn't do what you expect them to do, will you treat them with respect or with disdain? Jesus talks about parents and children, children and parents, friends and neighbors. It also extends to students and teachers, family members, fellow drivers, strangers on the street. Everywhere, every day, you get to decide, you have to decide, how am I going to live? What kind of person will I be? Will I follow God's way or my own way? It's a tough call, for sure. Are you going to continue to be part of that great crowd of onlookers that follows Jesus just kind of as a bystander? Or are you going to follow Jesus as he asks, cross in hand? You decide.